Okay, looks like the live is working and we're up for another live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you can all hear me okay over in Planet Instagram. I'm going to put the mic down here. I'm not going to pin it to myself today. Just let me know if you can't hear me. Only because I'm working with my hands a lot here. Actually, no, I'll give it a try. Actually, no, it's a bit long. Actually, I'm going to put it there. Tell me if you can't hear me. I'm going to talk up a little bit just so we make sure we can all hear me. 45 Fin, Calte, Whiskey Man Sam, Whiskey Gaucho. No, Cocktail Co does not know what's about to happen, but it's not really a cocktail. It's a very basic summer drink that I wanted to show you. Sometimes how I enjoy my dram a bit differently, especially coming into hot weather. Pardon me. I forgot my glass of water as well. That's all right. I'm having a long drink, so everything will be redeemed. Lee Wallace, good to see you. Matt Music MW, good to see you. Great to see some members and so many people joining in, as always, which is a lot of fun. So, no, Cocktail Co does not know what's about to happen, and I hopefully won't screw this up, but it's a very, very basic drink. And I want to show you what I do for a hot day as an idea of how to enjoy your dram a bit differently. In fact, Inoka from Cocktail Co did actually write something which is on our society website on the blog about different ways to enjoy your dram. And this is actually one of them for me. This is a really basic one that I like to do on a hot summer's day. And yes, of course, I am talking about the highball. And I'm using a society cask for it, which I'll reveal in just a moment. But I want to show you how I make it and what it is. Now, this is really basic, super basic. So it's not even, I don't even consider the highball a cocktail. I guess it is. But I guess, look, I'll be corrected on that no matter what. But it's really more about just a nice, refreshing, easy summer drink with minimal ingredients. Because look, I'm going to tell you right now, I can't make whiskey cocktails, gin cocktails, rum cocktails, whatever. I'm not very good at that side of things. It's something that I'm always keen to learn more about, but I'm just admittedly not very good at making complex cocktails that are presentable and taste good. There is quite a fine art to it, and I think it takes often many years of training behind the bar or in event form to do that kind of work. I mostly, as you know, present whiskey as by the dram in one of our society coppeters or in our tasting glasses that we use around events. I still enjoy my whiskey predominantly, subjectively, neat from a glass. But there are other ways to enjoy your whiskey, and that all comes down to mood and choice. Now, anyone who's been to the Archie Rose, who came to Archie Rose Pop-Up Bar this year or last year, will remember and attest to the fact that I cannot even stir properly. In fact, I've just realised that now that I've said that, I've forgotten the stirrer. I knew I'd forget something. There's always things I had to put on the table for the live stream. I think I've got something over there that might suffice, but we'll have to see. Okay. Whoa, nice safety, dude. You're wearing that thing around like a maniac. SMWS Benelux, Tim, good to see you. Benelux, good to see you. Yes, Liam, knife safety. It's my trusty global. Waving it around like an idiot, of course. Use the knife. Yeah, I'm getting there. Hold on. Lockie 1987, good to see you. So I'll show you how I do it. Now, first of all, I'm just going to get the lemon ready. Now, the way I like to cut that lemon up is I like to get to the flesh side on the short side, on both ends like that. I'm then going to cut it I'm just going to, basically, I like a lot of lemon in it. So I'm going to get mostly the fleshy bit in the middle as the base here. I'm just going to, I might just trim to about there. And one more trim on that one. So there's probably about 3 usable pieces in each lemon. I then because I'm working right in the middle of the lemon as well, I like to de-seed it so you're not drinking lemon seeds. That makes sense. I, of course, chose a lemon with 6,000 seeds, it seems, so bear with me here. I know I'm going to get some cringy comments about this. So I'm going to put that piece there just for a moment, and I need some ice. Now, the glass I'm using is actually intentionally not branded. It is branded as Hibiki, but it's the only highball glass I've really got. So apologies to those who are expecting a society highball glass. That's not going to happen. And here's some ice. Well, that was going to happen. And then I'm going to, just as you can see, I'm not much of a mixologist, but I'm going to put some ice in that glass. I like to fill it right to the top. Maybe one more piece. Actually, no, what I'll do is I'll put the lemon. Actually, I've gone around the wrong way here. This is unprepared, completely unprepared. So what I like to do is I like to put the whiskey in first. Now I'm going to show you the whiskey I'm going to use here. I've got a 135.12. It was previously a malt of the month, which was called Juicy Yet Mouth Drying. Not all peated whiskies come from Islay. This is actually a mainland peated whiskey. And it's one that is from one of my favourite distilleries, probably the most diverse distillery in Scotland. And for a highball, I also, as well as a lot of lemon, I like a lot of the spirit. So I'm putting two full nips of that 135 into the glass there. You can see that's quite a bit of spirit, but it'll keep me going. So it's two full glasses of whiskey. I then put the lemon in after that. So just drop that in there. There we go. I think I got most of the seeds out. I can see one still, but it's right embedded in the middle. I would have destroyed it. So I've dropped that lemon in. It doesn't matter if you let that infuse for a bit, actually. I like it when it sort of grabs in a bit more. It's already smelling great. Then the ice. I'm just getting ahead of myself there. So I'm going to drop a bit of ice in there. This is how I did the highballs at Archie Rose, and I made about 50 of them or so. And then, so we've got ice, we've got that, and then we're going to top up with a bit of soda. Now, the sodas I've got with me at the moment are these Schweppes sodas. Yes, I've sometimes used Fever Tree. I've tried the Cascade one. Anyway, look, it's a nice neutral soda. I pay a bit more attention to the tonics I use. I try to anyway. But I make a little bit less of a deal of my soda, I'll be honest. And then literally, doesn't even need a stir. It rises all up. It's heavier at the bottom, but that's okay. And there we have it. A whiskey highball. I'm going to use that global just to give it a gentle stir there. I'll hold that one up for us all to see. Get that nice and close to the camera. Look at that. Lovely. Looks good. Looks the part. Nice and lemony. You can see the lemon and the ice meeting right in the middle there. It's not overwhelmed with the soda. There's a nice amount of whiskey in there. I like to go 2 drams when I'm doing a highball because 1 dram I find a little bit underproofs it a bit. So, and I'm going to have a taste of that now. Wow, that is delightful, if I may say so myself. That's fantastic. So let's just talk about what I've done here. I've taken a single cask strength whiskey, and I've used it in a highball. And this is something I often do with my peated whiskies, especially in summer, especially on a hot summer's day at the back of my house or something like that. It's a nice way to enjoy a different way of enjoying whiskey. And the lemon bounces off the peat a bit there. I do like using peated whiskey, but I want to express the type of peated whiskey I like. I've deliberately used the 135.12. It was previously a malt of the month, and there's still about 10 bottles available still. So there's still a few of these from previous months if you're hunting something lovely, dry, ashy, lovely bit of peated whiskey, that one. It's a 12-year-old first fill ex-bourbon barrel, a Highland whiskey. Oh, this distillery is fantastic. 135 do just the most remarkable range of casks, and it's a 12-year-old in our lightly peated flavour profile. So this is the one I want to use because you can use some of those heavily peated characteristics, but I find they are just a little bit, they become a little bit sort of like almost too much. A bit stuck with cables here and bits of lemon everywhere. So let me just plug that in a bit more now that I've stopped creating this thing. So I like to start with a lightly peated dram, and I find the non-Islay peated whiskies are often the best for this. And that's only just because they have a certain ashiness to them, they have a certain dry peat to them, and the peat isn't that overwhelmingly iodine-y, boggy kind of peat. So Islay peat often has that sort of rich bogginess to it, and it's often really kind of like boggy and charry, if you like. You can really taste the peat. You can taste the peat in this, of course. It is a peated cask. It comes from peated spirit, but it's often just a little bit like it's almost like you don't need that same sort of level of peating to actually have that effect. It's a different kind of peat. So it's Highland peat versus, say, an Islay peat. And that difference is quite important. The differentiation is quite important because it means that you are able to focus on the flavours a bit differently. And as I've done here, it opens it right up. The longer you leave it, you're going to get a bit more and more of that lemon. And as I said, I like a big chunk of lemon in it. I really find that balances it out nicely. Some people like a lemon rind. Some people like a lemon juice. But I find the chunk of actual lemon makes for a very appealing looking and also lemony, peaty, lovely summer drink. So that's one way to enjoy your whiskey, and it was one that we've just... I don't need that. It was one that we've discussed before, previously on here, of different ways to enjoy your whiskey, and it's a really lovely way to enjoy peated whiskey in a different context. Okay, let's grab some of these comments. Sable Scotch, welcome. Nip of Courage, Lucabio, welcome everyone. Tim McGuigan, Whiskey Saurus, Sam, good to see you. Use your finger or use the knife. I'm already past that, sorry. Choice of tonic brand. I still like the Fever Tree tonics. I think they're very good. I actually like Schweppes tonic. I find it's unnecessarily derided sometimes as being commercial, so therefore it's not any good. It's like saying Coca-Cola can't make good cola, but they can, kind of thing. It's like, yes, there's organic colas and things out there. I don't know enough about this kind of stuff, but I do know what I like subjectively, and I know that it's I find that there's I think Fever Tree. The ones I know what I don't like Fentimans much. I find it's overly herbal. But yeah, I haven't really tried. I've tried maybe 3 or 4 really that I know I like, but I don't use tonic that often because it's often with gin, and I don't drink a lot of gin. So that makes sense. Caltai asks, use the rind to lemon to rim the glass. Bar staff tip. Yeah. I could use it, but it's already very lemony, Cal. I've done that before. They go better with Coke. Could you use distillery 10 mils on either 10 much? You could use 10, Cal. In fact, I would try something like an oily and coastal 10, like the recent malt of the month from 2 days ago in Outturn. Unfortunately, has sold out, but we have had a string of really good oily and coastal 10s lately, and that might be a different one to use. Hey AD, yes Andrew, good, thanks for joining. Kate D2072, Sam my BP, what does he say? One of the best highballs I've ever had was down at Lark, an SMWS Lecheg from memory. Yes, an SMWS 42. Yes, they've had a string of good 42s down there at the Lark Partner Bar. Great casks, really fantastic and make for great highballs. In fact, if I remember, Lockie at Whiskey and Almond is a huge fan of 42s and 66s. 66s make for great highballs as well. I've chosen a 135, which is unusually peated this time, but we have used. You could use a 66, you could use a 10, or you could use a 42. 3 very cool options there. Tasted like an oyster highball. Ooh, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Max GN927 joined. Good to see you, Max. And yeah, well, I don't think Cocktail Co's right here right now, but we could do a joint live stream. We've done events together actually a few times over the years, and they've been a lot of fun. People have loved them, but her contraptions have been far more complex than I've ever thought of it. She's really good at combining flavors, especially in cocktails. Yeah, that's fantastic. You really do need the 2 drams though. You need the two 60 mils of spirit, even at cask strength. You could probably go 45, 50, but, live a little, go to 60. Lovely. Yeah, Prawn to be Wild was a November-December malt of the month, distillery 10 and a highball. Yeah, Prawn to be Wild, I think was a mid-month offer at Cal, but the Pork Scratching Eau de Vie was the malt of the month, along with the Percolator of Pine Cones. It's a good memory, I've got it. Have you tried many Peaty Gems with iced tea or ginger ale / beer? Not too many SMWS Benelux. I've tried a few. I put a 93 with a smoky ginger ale. That was fun. And I put a 29 with a non-smoky ginger ale, which didn't really work. But it's worth trying. It was worth trying. Yeah. Oh, we could do it at ROC Gaucho, but that sounds like a summer tasting like that sounds like something that needs to be in the sun, which we're working on. Actually, we've got an event coming up, which we'll announce soon after the Christmas events. I think have been in the next couple of weeks, which is sort of like something big in each city. Actually, we're looking at Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide for this next series. It kicks off, I think, in the 3rd or 4th week of January. So we'll see how we go there. It might end up being pushed to the 1st week of Feb. We don't do too many events in January for 2 reasons. It's a nice time for us to have for the team at the Society, myself, Andrew, Susie, to have just a bit of a slight break, especially after the crazy Christmas period that we're into now. Outturn's been really great, everyone, just for those who were asking before. And I think I talked a bit about Outturn when I did my special stream with Matt Wooler from Dram Nation the other night. That was Friday night, or was it Saturday night? No, it was Friday night. I took Saturday night off. But, can't win at all of them. Australia weekend. Oh, yeah, that's a good point, Cal. We need to avoid Australia Day. Thanks for reminding me. Yes, if you try and do something around Australia Day, I think a lot of people take that Some people go away, some people go up the coast. It gets a bit tricky to host events on Australia Day weekend, but we could look at it. But we're looking at a few things like earlier this year, Melbourne got the single cask cruise, which was the whiskey dramming cruise around the Yarra, which looked fantastic. I'm still jealous that Owen got to do that one. And then and we've got things coming up in summer. Don't worry. There's some great summer events being planned at the moment, which we're working on, and there'll be definitely Sydney, Melbourne for most of them. Some in Brisbane, some in Adelaide, some in Hobart. Things coming up like that, which is very exciting. So yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. So, and we might be doing some things like this at these events as well. Why not? So yeah, Cocktail Co always said those things like the best ingredients. The best chefs use the best ingredients, so why not use the best ingredients in your drink? And I thoroughly agree with that statement. In that it's got quite a punch. That, I'll be honest, it's 60% on the head, like right on the dot, 60.0%. It's a first fill ex-bourbon whiskey. Yeah. That's lovely, and I think it's just really integrated well, just very simply with the lemon and the soda and the ice. So the reason I made this is because A, I'm not very good at making cocktails, but B, you can do this at home, and this is something you can actually do. And I don't want to talk about too much about sort of mixed drinks ever, if there's sort of things like now you use 2 splashes of rare aromatic chocolate bitters, and everyone at home might go, oh, I don't have that, and then it says use this particular Amaro and it's like, well, yes, I'll go to a bar to drink those kind of cocktails, and I'd ask for differences. I mean, I was actually at a great bar. Where was I? I can't remember the name of it. I'll remember it, and if I can remember it, I'll put it back up in the stream later. But where it said it had an option for an old-fashioned cocktail, the old-fashioned, and then it had, use with this whiskey, or with this whiskey, and they had 3 different flavor profiles with each of the ways of using it. I thought it was a great way to introduce different flavor profiles into one cocktail, because most bars you go to, it's like, there's that cocktail, and that's how it's had, and it often shows the ingredients in it, or should, and then an idea of the flavor in it, but it doesn't always show differences of that you might like to consider, like would you use an Irish whiskey, or a rye, or a Scotch, or something in that combination, which I think is a really cool way of looking at it. And of course, they might attract different prices. Of course, if the Irish whiskey is very cheap, which it probably would be, most Irish whiskey is cheap. But otherwise, it'd show maybe differences in if you're using like a single cask American bourbon for something like that instead. But yeah. Caltao, I don't know, very, very rough price point, but I'd say you're pretty much bang on the money. We try to keep most of the member events under 100, which I still think is tremendous value considering what you get at these events, if I may say so myself. But some of them are above that, of course. Like single cask cruise wasn't too bad. That was like $159 a head and that was a full private cruise charter for members in Melbourne. And then we often do the dinners, which are between sort of $320 to $350-ish kind of range. We have the Vaults event this year, which was, that was $729 a ticket, I think, which is a one-off, that we don't do events at that price range very often, but something like that might come along once every 10 years at most kind of thing, so something really special. And then, of course, Champs, which is every 2 years. Champs is about $99 a ticket. We try to keep it around there for early bird, then $129 non-early bird for those who are wondering. So Thomas Speller, good to see you, Thomas. So yeah, lots of things to consider there. Lots of different ways to enjoy your dram. As I've gone over just one very simple one tonight, you've seen me almost make a mess of it and almost spill some lemon juice on my nice little Society green banner that covers this table, which is an always pleasure to almost destroy a very simple cocktail, which is why I don't do this. But I'll tell you, I enjoy it. It's a really lovely flavor profile. It's a long sipper. It's one that I could sit on for the next hour or two. Not an hour or two, but at least the next 30, 40 minutes, enjoying that, especially as the lemon really infuses much more with the spirit and the soda and gets all fizzy and lovely and just the right balance of peat, something lightly peated with a bit of sweetness and from the citrus and the soda. It just balances it out, makes for a lovely warm afternoon cocktail when you want something, you want a long drink and you're not much of a beer drinker, or you want to try something a bit different Serving suggestions for the SMWS Old Fashioned. That'll be another video, Gaucho, but I'll take that as a point on question, that one. And yes, Liam, SMYan asks, is 2020 a champs year? It is indeed. Every 2 years, Liam. 2016, 2018, 2020, and we've already got some very, 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 very cool things planned for Champs 2020. It's going to be a monster Champs. I'm really looking forward to Champs 2020, and it's growing. It's grown every time we've done it. It went from something quite big in years prior, and then we've built it up into something really quite big, and we've really created something quite awesome. And I think 2020 is going to be even bigger. Those who were at the 2018 one will remember we had the Balvenie bar, we had the Society bar at the afters as well, but during as well we had the competition overlooking the water at the Dinosaur Museum, and then we had the after party in the dinosaur room surrounded by all the old skeletons. It was fantastic. We won't be back at the museum this year for reasons outside of my control. They will be closed for renovations during Champs, but we'll see how we go. Sitting here watching an amazing sunset on the farm. Off-topic question, what's the oiliest mouthfeel bottle left on this month's outturn? I really love a chewy dram. Lee Wallace, what can I say? A lot has already sold out, so we might be adding some more bottles on, and then in maybe next Friday. We'll see how we go. Honestly, I know it's a big one, but the 139.5 is a very, very rich, viscous, oily dram. Those casks from that distillery in Taiwan are fantastic. Also, if you want to have a look at, let me grab it here. I can't be guaranteed there's any left of this, but where is it? The 5828 Ushka Bay and Blankets Warm, spicy and dry. I think it's a remarkable whiskey, very old school tasting whiskey. You know, that sort of rich, sort of spirit forward, sort of old school production values kind of distillery. Is it super oily and viscous? That's another point of I guess to discuss, but I mean, 139.5 certainly is. If there's any of the milking a cowfish left, that certainly is. The 52.28. Look, there's lots of things in here farm salad is as well, the 66.133. Lots of things in there, Lee. And there's lots of things still left in outturn, by the way. It hasn't all just vanished. A few of the super popular ones may have, but they're all panel approved and they're all delicious casks. So well worth looking at a few other things. Don't forget to check page 2 and 3 on the website, because that's where you can often find some of the gems lurking that people may have forgotten about. Is Champs in 2020? Yes. No, I don't mind if it melts a bit, Cal. It's good fun. Jimmy Martin joined. Whiskey and Drinkies joined. Melbourne or Sydney? Well, Cal, the Champs has been in Sydney, I think, just about every year for the last 10, and I think it'll be in Sydney next year as well. It's we've got a lot of members in Sydney. We've got a lot of members in Melbourne as well, of course. But we'll want to do it maybe we'll do it in Sydney. I think it's just where the Champs has to be. So you can make a weekend of it. In fact, both in 2016 and 2018, we had a special hotel deal for those who wanted to fly in for it. So it meant that there was an interstate ticket plus a hotel price, which meant that it was sort of the hotel was like $70 or $80 off the normal hotel rate. So we got a very special Champs rate for the nearby hotel. We'll do that again for next year. So stay tuned for that. Dram and Draw joined. Good to see you. You are very late, Monarch Perth, but you can always rewatch it back on. You can always watch this back on the. I'm going to see if I can point in the right direction whilst I got the camera around the wrong way. Up here in the story, I think I may have got that right. No, other way around. Other way around. Up here in the story, you can watch you can watch it live again up here. Rough date for the Champs 2020. Yeah, it's about late. It's going to be late July, as it is most years. Champs will be late July, so it's always a Saturday night, and it's always in thinking the last weekend of July. That's a rough date. That's a working date. We don't have it locked in just yet. We were talking with a couple of venues about dates and times and things, but you're looking at a Saturday night in late July. Yes, that's true, Dram Nation. Matt from the other night, he did finish the third. Yes, he took out third place last year. So third place was Matt Wooler from Dram Nation. Second place was Matthew Whisker, and first place was Brooke Heyman. A very cool result, and it's always the Champs is a lot of fun, and I love seeing because it's equal parts skill and luck in many ways. It's not like the most seasoned whiskey drinkers don't always win it, as 2016 will attest when member Adrian Callis, who had only been a member for a short time and only recently got into whiskey, won. And so it's a mixture of luck and skill, and just try. And the best tip I can give you, which I gave people last year, was trust your first guess. So people often knows one and they go, "Oh yeah, I think I know what that is," and then they change their mind. And we saw quite a few answer forms submitted where they'd crossed out the correct answer and rewritten the wrong one. And we go, "Oh, okay, you know." So that's always interesting. Yes, Whiskey got second. Yeah, there you go. Just out of Australian rugby season, be very keen to join it. Good to see. Mr. Kareem, good to see you, mate. Whiskey got second, yeah. Whiskey took out second prize, which was about $3,500 worth of whiskey and a survival kit, and then Brooke Heyman won first prize, which was an all expenses paid trip to the UK, which included a private tasting at the Vaults. And next year, you know, we've upped the ante every year a little bit for each of the prizes. So third prize was last year a $750 voucher to the Oak Barrel in Sydney, very generously donated by the Oak Barrel, that one. And then second prize was a bottle of Balvenie 21 Portwood, hand signed by David Stewart, and a bottle of 127.44 Cantina Mexicana from the SMWS, and then, among other things in that sort of prize pack. And then the first prize was, of course, the trip to Scotland. But we like to up the ante, and we'll see what 2020 brings. It has to be something quite awesome, though. Alex Moores will be tough to beat. Yes, if he competes, he'll be right. He'll have it. Well, the thing is, he'll have as much chance as anyone. Really, it's like I say, there's an equal mix of skill and luck, and it's all core range bottlings. Remember, it's not SMWS single casks in the lineup. It's core range bottling. So if you can spot the difference between, as we say on the website, between Octomore and Oban, or Dalmore and Dalwhinnie, then you're off to a good start, kind of thing. So see how you go. That's all from me tonight. I want to talk a little bit about making a highball on a hot night like tonight. It's pretty warm, a bit humid here in Sydney tonight, and different ways to enjoy your dram, as I've said before. I will catch you all tomorrow night for Monday Rant, of course. It has to be Monday Rant because it's Monday, and I've got a bit of a theme going here, as I understand. And I'll see you all soon. Thanks for the amazing questions, everyone. Just my last little point here. If you missed the beginning of this, or you want to catch up on anything that's happened here, I'm going to get it right this time. It's that corner. You can watch this up on live on Instagram for the next 24 hours. Otherwise, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Scotchmont Whisky Society Australia. Hit the little bell as well. Subscribe, and so you get to see all these videos. We upload pretty much 95% of them to YouTube as well, including this one. So I'll see you all tomorrow night. Cheers.